All right, it's Tuesday, October 21st, just following up on the SPY. This is the 1 minute chart. I described how I bought some puts here around this blue line on this little rally up. I was able to scale out, set up a no-risk trade. Been watching it for a little while here, kind of just bouncing around and now moving back up to my entry price. So I'm going to take just a base hit gain on this trade and continue to watch it. On the 15-minute chart, you can see here after a potential red bar failure and a move lower, we've had a bunch of buying tails in here, so it could just be a little bit of a shakeout to take out liquidity in an overall uptrend. We're not really necessarily failing quite yet. So, it was a first attempt to see if we might get a failure out there. I bought the 680 puts at 814. I scaled out at 875 to set up an hour's trade. Exited the rest of my position at 822. So overall, a little small gain here. And, the 15-minute chart is now kind of turning green, although just kind of chopping around. Like I said, after two pushes up in this red bar, the likelihood was, well, let's call it less likely that it was going to make a push to new highs on the day, although it's still possible. It looks to be more volatile in here through the rest of the afternoon. Potential could have been a failure, as I've described in previous videos, where if we could have made another push lower, we could have then taken out the lows of the day, which is the midpoint of yesterday. That could have led to a 3-day, higher highs and lower lows on the daily chart to this yesterday's low, which is also the open of the week. And if that weekly chart, which is still green, turns red, then who knows? We could end up with a move to the bottom of this range. But we're still way above the open. We're green on the week. Even the day is still green. We did our job of taking out the highs of the previous day in two pushes, and we're at the top of a range here, which is kind of an interesting area. I think people see it as resistance, so they might be selling up here, but it could just be pausing and ready for a strong breakout to the upside too. So we're just kind of probing around based on the unfolding intraday structure that develops today. Really the best trade was the red to green move early on to kind of work back up to the highs of yesterday. Then after two pushes, big red bar, a lot of volatility. We're not quite failing yet. It was worth a shot. Good entry here at this blue line, in terms of this volatile area, at least gave you a chance to scale out and see what happens. So we're still in a wait and see mode. I'm going to have to see how this daily bar closes now, whether that produces a 2-down day tomorrow or whether we just kind of hold green here for the rest of the week on day number 3 and then start working to those upper targets and maybe even a strong breakout to the upside. So we're at the top of a big range, but with a big picture trend that's still strongly up. So it's just a tricky area in terms of a strong opportunity one way or the other, because it can go either way. But for now, it's just sort of intraday stuff. And like I said, the good buy in the morning led you to a first target, and now we're just kind of chopping around a little bit and seeing if maybe a failure might develop at the top of this range.